I'm going to tell you a story you've never heard before because no one knows this story the way I know it. It takes place the night of June 12, 1994, and it concerns the murders of my ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her young friend, Ronald Goldman. Forget everything you think you know about that night because I know the facts better than anyone. The story you know or think you know, that's not the story, not even close. This is one story the whole world got wrong.
Is this his confession? You be the judge.
And tonight, for the first time ever, you will hear O.J. Simpson put himself at the scene of the murders and tell you, in his own words, what he says might have happened that awful night. O.J. sat down with the publisher, Judith Regan, in 2006 for what would be his first and only TV interview about his relationship with Nicole and his movements on her last night alive. Regan and Simpson agreed that he would write a book about the killings that she believed would be a bestseller. It was called If I Did It.
What do you think people are going to think of this book?
Some people say maybe it's blood money. Well, guess what? Every book that was written about this case was blood money.
After the victims' families protested that O.J. should not be allowed to profit from the murders, the book's publication was suspended, and this interview with Simpson never broadcast.
Coming up, he never took the witness stand in his criminal trial. But tonight, for the first time, O.J. Simpson puts himself at the scene of the crime. Up next, O.J. describes what might have happened the night Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were brutally murdered.
The chapter 6, is called The Night in Question. And you write in the book, now picture this and keep in mind that this is
Purely hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel. You know, they're going to, you know, whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is...
Charlie pulls that up.
Charlie. This guy, Charlie, shows up, the guy who I had recently become friends with, and I don't know why he had been by Nicole's house, but it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there has got to stop, right? So we kind of hooked up together, and, you know, I'm kind of broad-stroking this. We go over. Get into Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
To the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
And you reached under the seat for?
A knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, you ain't bringing that. And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate, you go through the back gate?
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and I'm looking to see what's going on. And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did, to keep her overhead down, I think. And music was on, and while I was there, a guy shows up. You know.
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy that I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He says to you, I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant.
Yeah, words to that effect, yes.
And
he was I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. It was pretty much immaterial because, you know, I was more concerned about everything that was going on, you know, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out, and we started having words about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, this is my house, get the F out of here.
yes, and which I didn't like because, once again, this is the same person, and if you read the book, you'll see some things that happened in the 2 weeks leading up to this that were very, very irritating, you know. And I think Charlie had followed this guy in, wanted to make sure there was no problem, and he brought the knife. As things got heated, I just remember Nicole fell and hurt herself. And this guy kind of got into a karate thing. And I said, well, you think you can kick my ass? And I remember I grabbed a knife. I do remember that portion, taking a knife from Charlie. And to be honest, after that, I don't remember, except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
What kind of stuff?
blood and stuff around. You know, I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know we got to back up again.
Right. That's okay. I want to back up.
This is hard. This is hard.
I know. I want to back up
to... It's hard to try to make people think that I'm...
I know. You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes.
Covered, you're covered, the scene. Can you describe it?
It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood. And of course, I think we've all seen the grisly pictures after. So yeah, I think everything would have been covered in blood.
And what goes through your mind at a time like that?
I don't know. It's like, what happened?
Right. Mm-hmm. You write about removing a glove before taking the knife from Charlie.
You know, I had no conscious memory of doing that, but obviously I must have because they found a glove there.
And blacking out. Have you ever blacked out before?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
No. Of course, if something like this would take place in anybody's life, if it were to happen, I would imagine it's something that you would probably automatically have trouble wrapping your mind around it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
For the first time, he tells us all the shocking details.
Where are the bloody clothes? So somebody had to get rid of the bloody clothes.
Next.
Then you see bloody footprints and you decide to take off.
Yes. Actually, I believe Charlie kept saying, we got to get out of here.
And in the book, you describe taking off your shoes, your pants, and your shirt and dropping it in a bundle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember what happens
Because what
next?
are you going to do with it? You know, somebody's got to get rid of, as you may have called during the trial, is where are the bloody clothes? So somebody had to get rid of the bloody clothes.
Right. And you had left your keys and wallet in your pants pocket, and you had to go back and get it?
You know, to be honest, I think, I know that to be true, yes, yes.
And Charlie is hysterical, screaming, Jesus Christ, OJ, Jesus Christ, and you tell him to shut up?
Yeah, he's in a panic. He was in a panic, and I'm telling him to shut up. Let's get out of here.
So you get back in the car, you take in your clothes, put them in the bundle?
And drove back and parked a block away because I knew the limo would be there and came across the backyard through the 2 tennis courts and, you know, came through the house.
So you went through the neighbors?
Neighbors, yeah. He had a tennis court, then I had a tennis court.
And you go into the house, and what happens in the house?
I ran upstairs to take a shower. I actually ran upstairs and took some of my bags and came back downstairs and put them out front.
OJ was due to catch a late flight to Chicago, where he was scheduled to play in a Hertz golf tournament the next day.
And then I get dressed and I come back down.
And then you get in the car and go to the airport?
That's correct.
You sign autographs?
Yeah.
And you wrote in the book that you were asleep before the plane took off?
Virtually, yeah.
Early the next morning, OJ was awakened in his Chicago hotel room by a call from the LAPD.
When did you cut your finger?
To my knowledge, really, when I got the call the next morning, and this is the truth, when I got the call the next morning saying that Nicole had been murdered, was killed, was dead. And I kept saying, what do you mean dead? Killed, or whatever the words they use. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, we can't tell you anything. We're still investigating, but where are you? And when can you get back here? And I think I actually went in the bathroom and it was dawning on me. I didn't really throw a glass. I just was, and when I was putting it down, it just smashed, you know?
Police believed that the cuts on O.J.'s hand probably came from the fingernails of one of his victims.
I went downstairs. I was bleeding at that point. I went downstairs and asked the lady on the desk for a Band-Aid. And I knew I signed so many autographs, and even when I had arrived the night before, there was people, and I signed autographs, and I knew I wasn't bleeding in any way at that point, but I knew when I was leaving I was. And I ran to the airport, and I ended up forcing my way on a plane. It was sold out, and somehow I told them that my wife had died, and I got to get out of here.